Yes, I think it is different. I think it is different when you look from a South Asian perspective. And yeah, I would say it's much different as far as those gender roles. I think it's very difficult for anyone in the South Asian culture to come out and talk about things like depression, and so that makes it again much more difficult to address the problem, to get over the things like stigma, to get it out in the open and talk about it. So the local situation, yeah, it just adds that much more to the problem.
I know, I mean, you have obviously been here for more than a year, I believe, and you've worked with all kinds of people in this particular field. And I was wondering if you could share, particularly with parents who might be watching, if the children, if their teens are going through something, how to sort of approach helping them, because that too is a very sensitive phase, and it could, if you do something the wrong way, it could make things worse.
Right.
Can you share some advice of things that perhaps doctors and physicians and therapists have shared about how to approach this with children particularly?
For sure, and it is especially I found around exams. Exams seem to be such a big part of school life here, and it's such a big pressure for kids is doing well in their exams and at such an early age. And obviously, without changing the education system, that's not going to likely happen. So parents can really just be aware of that pressure and do their best not to add to it. So things, just ensuring their kids have things like proper meals and proper break times. And I've heard psychiatrists recommend having just relaxing music to be played at the house, or just having that bit of time to get away from things like homework and school and just have some leisure time, really. And to be kids, that's the most important thing, is just giving your children some time to not have to always deal with the pressures of school and those types of things. That's the biggest, I think, issue with kids. And it's obviously easier said than done, because the reality is those tests are important, and they do have to, there is a lot of pressure to score well. But it's about finding the balance, I think.
I do want to talk about, before we finish up, about where you can get help. If you know that you have some kind of a problem, or if you know somebody who does, how can you get help, and where should we go? If you have phone numbers, we can put that up as well.
Sure. So I think the first thing is, when you're talking about mental health, is always talk with someone you trust and care about. That's the number one place to go. Once you've exhausted that, and you find you need more than the support of loved ones, then it's important to really seek out a professional, whether that's talking to your local physician, whether that's calling the CCC line, which is a helpline available 24 hours a day.
CCC stands for?
Caring, Compassion...
Okay, we'll figure it out.
It's 1333 is the line,
okay.
And it's a line that is dedicated to really counseling services, and not just for kids but for adults as well, in all 3 languages. And that's available. And the good thing about that service is that they can refer you to a specialist in your area, to a specialist that you may be in the area that you need. So that's a really helpful. A really helpful line.
Is it for what kinds of things can you call them for? Is it?
It's anything, really. It can be an emergency situation, if you're in very much distress, or if you're having trouble at school, if you're having trouble in a relationship, if you're just needing some advice as well, or if you really have a mental illness and you need help, you can call that line and they'll refer you to a professional in the area.
Just to help me understand a little bit more, so when somebody calls,
yes, what
can they expect to hear? Is it somebody there willing to talk with them at that particular moment, or are they going to refer them to somebody else, or how does that work? So
it is really a listening line at the start. So there is a real person answers the phone, and they will talk with you, and they don't provide advice, they don't provide actual help on the phone. They'll just listen, and then they will refer as far as kind of where the person needs the help. So they're really there to listen. And there's also organizations like Sumitrio, Sahania, who offer similar services as well. And again, that's just that line to call, just to talk. And then if you need further help, whether it be medical professional help, or if you need help from social services, or where the help is needed, they'll direct you to that point.
Before we let you go, Sean, just one final question. I was wondering if you could explain to us why you're wearing the pink butterfly on your pocket.
Sure. Well, thanks for asking. It's actually a project that we're launching as part of World Mental Health Day, along with groups of people, self-help groups of people with mental illness and their caregivers that are leading the project. And they'll be out around the country selling these butterflies to raise awareness about mental health issues, and also to raise money for their groups, which operate across the island and really act as really a self-help group for them. They provide help at the village community level, and again, getting back to that community idea, that's really their goal. So it's a livelihood project for these groups, and so yeah, you'll be seeing butterflies hopefully throughout Colombo and throughout the island over the next week, and we hope to kind of make this as the symbol for mental health in the country.
Before we go tonight, we wanted to share with you some resources where you can get more information about the topics we've talked about today. For more information on the services offered at the National Institute of Mental Health in Angoda, or if you'd like to volunteer there, you can visit the Institute website at nimh.lk. If you want to stay informed of various activities taking place related to mental health around Colombo, you can join the Facebook page that Sean mentioned by searching for the phrase "Loving Hearts Can Change Minds." And finally, if you know someone who needs help with a mental illness or needs a listening ear and support and guidance, you can call the CCC line by dialing 1-333. And that's all we have on Global Perspectives tonight. Please join us again for another episode next Monday at the same time on MTV Sports. Thank you for watching. Good night.